Welcome back. Segment number 2, The Broad Podcaster, with me, Jennifer Fierro, here in the Highland Lakes, in our Dlugach, the voice of the Llano Yellow Jackets. In segment 1, we talked about Llano's big win over Cotulla in the Bi-District Championship game. We also previewed the Jackets and Goliad in the second round.
I forgot something, and please let me get it in. I won't take but 30 seconds. Go ahead and time me. The shutout victory by the Jackets is only their second all-time, second all-time in the playoffs, and their first in 49 years.
Wow.
Llano beat Bastrop 7-0 in the 1973 postseason. So the 44-0 win over Cotulla, second.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. In this segment, we're going to talk about our six-man football teams in Burnett County, and that's because one of them had their season end, and the other one is going to start their postseason play on Friday. Let's go ahead and begin with the Faith Flames. Faith Academy lost to a very mature Conroe Covenant team, 46-0, where they were mercy ruled in the first half. And what that means is that the teams did not play past the second quarter. They got to halftime, called the game according to TAP's rules. Conroe had 241 yards of total offense. They had the ball for 8 possessions and scored 6 touchdowns off of those 8 possessions. And did they make all of their extra points? It looks like they made all of them except for one. So, and in six-man football, an extra point is actually worth 2 because they get blocked so much in six-man. So, Faith Academy didn't do a whole lot that night. Here in Central Texas, we had a constant wind. The wind chill was cold throughout the game. Marble Falls Faith had to struggle with a couple of things regarding the elements, though that's not an excuse because the other team had to face the same things. I will say this, because I thought about this in the car on my ride over here. The question is, did this Faith Academy team overachieve this year? It was supposed to be a rebuild year. They weren't supposed to do hardly anything. They lost the bulk of their heart of their team last year and relied on some newcomers to come in who'd never played organized football for Faith, and they relied on some players who were lettermen last year but didn't play significant roles in what happened during that 2021 season. I don't know that I think the Faith Flames overachieved. I do think that Faith took a lot of pride in being a traditional powerhouse in TAP six-man football. That at the end of the day, when it was said and done, you know the phrase, tradition never graduates? That's what I saw from the Flames this year.
And they won district.
And they won district, went undefeated. So it's hard for me to say that they overachieved. Now, do I believe that there were things that they accomplished this year that will help them in 2023? Yes. Do I think that there were some setbacks that they learned from that will help them in 2023? You better believe I do. And some of that is you just know your personnel better. Sometimes you just got to see your personnel and what they can and can't do, and then scheme or make up plays for your personnel that you know they can do very, very well, and hide some of the things that they cannot do as well. There's no question that I think that some of the Faith Flame coaches would love to get some of those games back that they lost in the pre-district, because I think they believe that they would have schemed differently, and maybe those outcomes would have been different.
That was a pretty young bunch of boys, though,
yes.
when pre-district started.
Yes, and if they weren't young in age and classification, then they were young in experience.
Yes.
So in that sense, I give them a lot of credit.
And Coach Shipley.
And yes, and Stephen Shipley for doing the things that I commend him on, for not being married to his scheme, for saying there are plays out there that I know my players can do better than some of the plays that I have seen my teams of the past do, and being unafraid to change things.
Just let's not get into marriage, though. If we can here, marriage history, we don't want that.
I agree.
Okay, go ahead.
Especially not in the sports podcast. But that's all I have to say on Faith. Congratulations to the Flames. I don't feel that you overachieved. I do commend you for having the maturity to be coachable, for seeing what you can do very well, and for committing yourselves to doing the best you can at those schemes and those plays.
I think that's beautifully put.
So, in that sense, I look forward to 2023 and seeing what the Faith Flames can do. Smoking for Jesus took 2 weeks off. They got the bye last week as part of their, since they were the number 1 seed going into the playoffs of the Texas Association of Independent Athletic Organizations.
We go through this every week.
I have to
You're
think
worse
about
than I
it.
am, and I'm 100 years old.
So they took a bye last week, and they have not played in 2 weeks. I forget why they didn't play on the 4th. I forget now why. So they have an opponent. They're playing Johnson County. I don't know exactly where that is, but that game is at 7 o'clock on Friday night at Wallace Rydell Park in Burnett. And I had a chance to briefly talk to Coach Frazier. I will have a story on Smoking for Jesus and how they've prepared for Friday's game on TexasChalkTalk.com. That will be coming later in the week, probably on Thursday, because that's usually football. That's when we do our preview pieces, if you will. But just listening to Coach Frazier, they had a chance to scout Johnson County last week, because Johnson County did play.
Good.
Did play a game last week, so they
like
had a
that.
chance to see them. They feel that Johnson County probably is going to do what they're probably going to key in on Isaac Leger, the outstanding dual threat quarterback, which means that they'll probably put 2 and 3 defenders in front of him, probably not pass rush to force Isaac to throw the football because he is so dangerous with his legs. Think Vince Young, 2005, if you're a Texas Longhorn.
My goodness, that's high praise.
A high praise.
Woo.
But I think Isaac is deserving
Jennifer's
of that.
favorite player.
Yes, my all-time favorite. I think he's the best Texas Longhorn quarterback. He's the best Texas Longhorn I've ever seen in a football uniform. Yes, no doubt. Kevin Durant, for those of you who want to know, my favorite basketball player. I thought he was the most complete in the UT uniform.
And Bobby Lane scored 40 points in a bowl win for Texas in the mid-1940s, but go ahead.
Yeah, that was my dad. No. We're going
I
way
was
too far back.
3 years old. He scored those in the 1946 Cotton Bowl, but please,
All
go
right.
ahead.
So, in that sense, I am curious to see what Smoking for Jesus will do. They've been off for 2 weeks, as we've mentioned, Art. I'm curious to see what kind of rust they have. They were unable to find a warm-up game for November 4th. We're not able to find one 2 weeks ago, so we will see what they look like here on Friday.
I like rest better than rust for a team.
Okay.
So I think this helps.
Okay. Well, the good news is they only need, I believe this is correct, they only have to win 3 playoff games to win the state championship in that association. So we will see what they will do. I know that they are incredibly motivated, just like Faith. They went undefeated and won another district championship, their 3rd in a row. They are looking to win their 3rd consecutive state championship now in a different association.
And they're just 3 years old. Is that right? Or older than that?
Maybe a little bit older, maybe 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
But to their credit, they've done really well. We will have, like I said, we'll preview that game on TexasChalkTalk.com. We'll also have the game story over the weekend leading right up to the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm ready to close this one out and talk some basketball. Is there something else you want to say?
No, I think I've interrupted enough, so I think I'm done.
No problem. Okay, once again, for all of your Highland Lake sports news, please go to TexasChalkTalk.com and please stay with us. We're going to talk hoops in the next segment. And as always, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share the channel.